faith and human rights in Sikhism. So I would like to start it from here. So this is a quote from Voltaire, the French philosopher. I disapprove what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. So, with beginning from this, when French philosophers said this, and Augustine dictum also, the martyrdom depends not upon the fact, the manner of one's death, but rather on the cause for which martyr died. This cause must, of course, be one with which society can identify. Now, I would like to just in that few points, I would like to. This is the early Sikhism. Sikhism has this. I think I can be summarized because of the time. Because Sikhism depends with the beginning. I think from the 15th century. So I can be in the bilingual or it's okay in the English if you want me to. So I would be from the 15th century. There were the three basic tenets of Guru Nanak: Nam Japna, Kirat Karna, and Vanchakna, and three basic operative notions of Guru Panth and Guru Granth went to the path of interfaith ideology. Now, in the contemporary times, and society is striving for human rights. Century back, the protection of human rights were not formulated but preached and practiced by the Sikh gurus. And martyrdom in the Sikhism was a fundamental belief, as its purest form was voluntarily conscious and altruistic readiness to suffer and offer one's life cause. Now, this is, I would like to start basically from here because I had a very good experience while traveling to certain areas. So I was quite familiarized with this thing that though Baba Farid was born in the 12th century and Baba Nanak born in the 15th century, somehow there he developed a belief system which was open to the appeal of ideas articulated by Punjabi Muslim Sufi poets during that 200 years of ago. Now, I just want to skip these few points. I would like to stress on what I want to tell you that right in the 20th century, when United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights proclaimed human rights to all the citizens, long, I think around 500, 550 years, I'm just connecting with Baba Farid, then Guru Nanak, and then I would like to say in that there was a transition also. So I would like to say there was a combination of serenity and valor, and in the practical expression of whole life approach disseminated by the Sikh gurus. When we want to locate the serenity in the five Sikh gurus were pacifist, and then there was the change in them. When we talk about Guru Nanak, I'm just skipping these things. Guru Nanak talks about जो तो प्रेम खलन का चाओ सिरधर तली गली मेरी आओ. And when we move ahead with this the transformation, even I would like to quote a few things from Baba Bari. This is Bani of Baba Farid. When he is talking about all human beings interfaith, so Sabna Manik Thar Mool Sachwana, the minds of all are like precious jewels, to whom to harm them is not good at all. If you desire your beloved, then do not break anyone's heart. So basically, I would like to say, my thought is, my presentation is ki it's the impact of Baba Fariji, and then Guru Nanak also he was into that. Jo to prem khalanka chao. If you desire to play this game of love with me, sir dhar tali gali mein aao, then step my path with your head in hand. And when you place your feet on this path, sir dije kaan na kije. So there are these are lines from Guru Nanak. Again, Guru Nanak says, "Marana manda loka akhiye je mar jana aisa koi." Death wouldn't be called bad of people if one knew how to truly die. The death of a brave hero is blessed if it is approved by God. So, in short, I'm even in, I think Sant Kabir also, he was, when he was talking about the human values, his rights, right to say something, and in his Gaganda Mama Baju Paryo Disanu, I then Sura so pehchaniye jo lade deen ke het, purja purja kat kabhu na chade khet. So basically, Sikh ideology and Sikh philosophy, they are interfaith. They are khalak 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 mein khalak. I think Baba Farid and Kabir ji, same language, same tone, same ideology, same. When we talk about Bani of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, जाको रंग ला जाको हर रंग लागू इस जुग में सो कयत है सूरा. So this, I think this is the Bani of. Now I would like to, not going into this detail of this. In the Sikh Ardas, totally is engrossed. It's totally into that. When we from last so many years, that Guru Har Rai was taken into account. Like he himself was a great warrior, and on the serene nature of his. So he himself was called his relationship with Dara Shikoh, how he helped him when he was going to Lahore during War of Succession. So it was the Persian scholars when they say that he fled from the field. No, he was not like that. He was basically protecting the human rights of the people. He was avoiding the things. He helped him out. Basically, the scholars also called him Sultan as well as Darwish. So both the qualities of saintly and Sipahi, or we would call the serenity or the valor, was also there. Then, if we talk about Guru Gobind Singh, I'm skipping part of Guru Tegh Bahadur. I don't want to skip that because his martyrdom is, we all know, we call them Hind each other and everything in that. So, in the even the scholars, they have the different opinion about that, why he was executed. Being the history scholar, too many debates are there, but the sole cause was the value of the human rights of the people at that time, and the fearlessness of the people, that we should come forward. भय काहू को देत न मैं मानत आन. Now, when we talk about Guru Gobind Singh, Jin Prem Kyo Tinhi Prab Payo was an echo of Guru Nanak's Chauto Prem Khilan Ka Chao, Sir Dhar Tali Gari Mere Aao. So, everything in Sikhism in the 18th century, 18th century, here I would like to stress that even the Sikhism, women they played a very, very important role. Mata Sundri ji, Mata Sahib Kaur ji, and Mai Pago ji, and Bibi Saran Kaur, Sada Kaur, and number. My paper is full of the descriptions of that. So not only men but women also, they were part and parcel of this whole ideology. In the Sikh Ardas, Jina Singha Singhniya ne Dharmet si sitte band band kataye. It's the Ardas is basically very important, that talks about each and everybody, women, men, they are men fighters or women fighters or the bache, everything was. And the main concern which I would like to stress in the Sikh Ardas, this is talking about the Sarbat da Bhala, universal brotherhood, no caste, no creed, nothing. And this is David Lutze's martyrologies may therefore be understood treasure houses of edifying examples. So I just want to conclude. Sikhism is especially prized. It is glorified, rather, I would like to say it is glorified, which has a long and continuous tradition of such adherence to religious belief and sacrifice for it. In Sikhism, with a balanced growth in sense of spiritual and temporal affairs, one should be with the moderate ideals, disciplined living, over self multiplication, bravery, courage, and fearlessness should be used for welfare of the such one lives. As Sarbadda Bhala, I have already quoted Guru Tegh Bahadur ji. And in the end, this is my submission of this whole presentation. that the whole mohi he shubh karman te kabhu na daru. And in Sikhism, it is glorified that when they die, they also, Guru Amardas ji said, Anand sabko Anand Guru te manya. So they glorify and they enjoy this. This is the quest of martyrdom, which is in Sikhism. They enjoy Sikhism. They want to live that life of a martyr. They want with all those. I was in my childhood, I used to ask parents why the Kada Prasad is always there at the time of marriage or at the time of the funeral. So this is what I got answer. This is the sweet prasad. It is same in the happiness. It is same at the time of the shahidi. So I would like to say at the end of my this is my submission. Anand Anand sabko kahe Anand Gurte manya. And that is the point. Sikhism enjoy, glorify this shahidi and martyrdom.
You are audible, sir. You are audible. Please go ahead.
Mutual understanding to achieve common goals. The mode of thinking developed a system which was known as belief, and it came into practice naturally and spontaneously in the human clan. Further, as the time passed, the thought process of human beings changed with their explorations, and their understanding toward groupism grew larger to achieve futuristic goals. With better strategies, the chance of survival turned better. Hence, the population also increased.
ਗਈਆਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ
And with the rise
ਸਾਰਾ
in
ਕੁਝ ਡਿਜੀਟਾਈਜ਼
population,
ਕਰਕੇ
the
ਤੇ
need of
ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ
community
ਮਹਾਨ
came
ਕੋਸ਼
into
ਛਪਿਆ
existence. The basic format of the communities was based on common interests, which led them to create a unique identity, and this order was broadly known as religion. But popularly, religion is known as the path to salvation or a disciplined way of living to achieve comfort and peace in life. Although all the religions or the belief system across the world advocates the welfare of the human clan, but to achieve this goal, many a times the basic fundamentals are put on stake. In the community initiatives, in major cases, the focus is restricted to a particular group of people only, and the others are ignored, showcasing the reason of being from other segment. Although every religion talks about good deeds and oneness of human beings, the basic reason evaluated for this act of discrimination is nothing but the lack of the ability to respect and accept the difference of opinion. The difference of opinion is an absolute natural process which has evolved with the mankind itself. The beauty of the nature is broadly defined as its diversity, and so is it in all different belief systems and in the inhabitants of different places in the world. Hence, forcefully slapping each other's ideology to prove superiority generally creates conflict among different groups. The opportunist class always try to utilize the state of conflict to fetch in material means for themselves. To avoid the situation of conflict, certain rules, laws were framed by the authorities across the world. These tools were designed to safeguard the common interests of the human being with equality, respect, and social justice. There are several provisions framed by international society, international community to safeguard the social rights of the human beings. They have taken serious notes of human rights violations from time to time at different places across the world. Understanding the possible cause of atrocity crimes, several plans of action were suggested to prevent it. Suggested to be implemented. The sole purpose of these implementations were to help saving lives, to reduce suffering, and to render an ambience of peaceful environment, along with inclusive and just societies in which diversity is valued and social rights of every individual is protected. Similarly, in Indian constitution framework, a provision under equality rights, Article 14 to Article 18, has been provided to ensure prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. It specifically advocates equal justice to all the citizens. Apart from this, there are several other provisions to safeguard the social rights of the people. These provisions are very much required for the healthy socio-economic growth in a country. The development of a country is directly dependent on the peaceful environment, which invites the willpower to invest for growth. The confidence to invest and participate will come with assurance of protection of life and property by the state. Every prominent religion, some way or the other, advocates similar protection to the people in the society. In the past, it has been seen that the religion played a vital role in the administration of a state. Several kingdoms were secular, and others were radical in terms of religious practices. To flourish their kingdoms, the rulers used to take the help of the religion clerks who were basically in touch with the mass. Even though all religions believe in concept of oneness and preach to safeguard the social rights of all human beings, but somehow some of the followers of any particular religion reserve these rights for the ones who are like minded with them. And this act of partiality simply discriminates the process of equality, or can say, in other words, it lays the foundation to antagonism. The grounds of antagonism occurs due to the values inculcated from the society during upbringing of every individual. A major portion of these activities come from that fact which we have never seen, but they are alive in the gossips from centuries. Most of the time, we happen to believe in the tales or the stories told to us by our seniors, ancestors, religious teachers, or political leaders. Even though sometimes our conscience does not agree with the facts and the figures, but we tend to believe them fully. In major instances, it has been seen that the exploitation of a particular person has been done by his close associates. But on contrary, if he has grudges with someone who didn't even had a faraway relation with his exploitation. For instance, if a workshop is organized, taking participants from different religion, caste, or creed, and they are given an assignment to pen down 20 names of the people who have troubled them most in their lifetime. This needs to be done very honestly, and it will be seen that 14 or 15 names certainly would be from one's own sect. But on contrary, if you invite them on a communal debate, they will criticize the other sect. When we are traveling in a public transport, we never tend to figure out the religion or caste of the operator or handler. When we are eating in a restaurant, eatery, we never go and inquire the whereabout of the kitchen staff. When we purchase any household stuff, we never inquire about the people involved in the chain. But when it comes to criticism, then we know whom to take on target. Every religion, while setting up their own boundaries with their type of provisions, has made an autonomous check system with the help of sin and virtue theory, where one does not need to witness to judge their own activities. The moral value rule book itself guides a person to lead a good life. In the said process, the conscience of the person is enlightened, wherein he or she can distinguish a good or a bad deed. The religious belief normally act as a moral policing, and the concerned person thinks that an external force is keeping a continuous watch over them. This fear of being watched keep them alert and prohibits them from committing antisocial activities. All prominent religions are following the system, but some of their radical followers put a blindfold on the good values and they forcefully move towards achieving their own selfish targets. These targets are either inspired by the liking or disliking of any individual or sect, or it may be due to some material benefit, or even maybe to attain a social or political status in the society. Overall, the majority reported conflicts, atrocity crimes, also called communal riots, major mass killings, major destruction of life and property were inspired by the politics of power. The desire to keep all in their grip turns out as a prominent reason for the serious violation of human rights and associated destruction. These violations are significant warning signs and indicators of weakening social structure and also of a shattering democracy. These activities are done by a handful of a people and they succeed in their mission because generally the majority opts to remain quiet. The oppressor is well aware of this nature of the mass, which encourages him to continue his unlawful activities. The administration keeps a watch on the happenings and they don't react until they find it going against their vested interest. In other words, we can say no misdeed can be carried out at a mass level if the administration doesn't have hand in hand.
2 minutes.
Although
2 minutes.
Although the influence of political power has always been seen over the institutions of democracy, but as being observed, it has increased in the recent few years. The democracy is somewhat turning into an undeclared autocracy. In the past few years, we have seen disturbing increase in hate speeches that constitutes incitement to violence, have seen people openly picking up law in their hands, committing gruesome crimes in broad daylight without any fear of administration because they know that they have hidden support from the political powers and nothing can put them into trouble. The prominent political and religious leaders were seen delivering hate speeches, which turned out as a trigger to physical clashes. The mob has been seen chasing and killing individuals citing unjustified reasons. These activities of atrocity crimes kept on going because no one was being properly booked for the committed crimes. The
One
oppressors,
minute. 1 minute.
the
1 minute.
oppressors were being praised for unlawful activity, and the institutions were turning deaf and dumb to the cries of affected individuals because in democracy, the count of heads matter. Whenever the objections were raised in large numbers, the system then only took cognizance of it and handled the situation in such a manner that it showcased the victim himself to be the reason of the misdeed. People need to be very careful while making a choice in the time of exercising their vote. The wrong choice will definitely lead to a disaster for the future generation. To strengthen the law, we need educated, visionary, understanding, and morally strong lawmakers rather than popular, powerful, corrupt officials. It is the social responsibility of every individual to
Yep.
strengthen the.
Okay, Bhupinder, please conclude.
I'm just concluding, just concluding, surrounding. In conclusion, I would like to say the workshops on inter-religious understanding needs to be organized at high school level, where the youngsters are at an age to understand the social values embedded in the religious practices. These tender-aged people are the future of the nation. If they can be enlightened, then this chaotic scenario can be turned into a tamed to a larger extent. So this type of workshops should be conducted, and even the media activists need to participate in this because we know that the visual media has a larger impact. So we need people from there also.
Yep.
I just conclude with the famous saying of Guru Gobind Singh, Hindu Surat ki Rafi, Imam Safi, Manas ki Jaat Sab ek pehchan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bhupinder, for your very good sharing on the topic of interreligious understanding and dialogue for promoting humanity. At the conclusion, you mentioned about having this interreligious dialogue or interreligious discourse at the school level, at every level of the society, which is, I think, is something that we need to look on this suggestion to make sure that we can have understanding community that can understand about this interreligious society that we have in the world. Thank you very much, Bhupinder. um, I um, I look again at the timetable that we have. I just realized that our session actually should end by 3:30 of India time. So we have about half an hour, and we have three more speakers. So I'm so sorry that I have to cut the time for each of the three remaining speakers to 10 minutes each. Is it okay? I hope everyone can focus on the point, give a very sharp point that you want to share with us in this session. So for the next speaker, Dr. Bilal Ahmad Putih, the Assistant Professor from Department of Islamic Studies, Aligarh Muslim University. Are you there, Dr. Bilal? Dr. Bilal? Not there. Okay, we move to Dr. Nazir. Dr. Nazir Ahmad? Dr. Nazir? Dr. Nazir, are you there?
These are two people basically, Nazir Ahmad and Ibn Majid. So one of the two may be present and they can present of the two, whosoever is present.
Yeah.
If they are present, then they may, otherwise we may call another speaker, sir.
Yeah. If not, we move to Dr. Nasim Gul.
Yes, sir.
And Ms.
Sir.
Yeah, Dr. Nasim, yeah. You are in already, yeah?
Yeah, I'm already in. Thank you, sir.
Okay, please, Dr. Nasim, you have more or less 10 minutes, something like that. Dr. Nasim is the assistant professor from Department of Islamic Studies, Baba Ghulam Shah Barsha University. Is it right?
Yes, exactly, sir.
Yeah, Jammu and Kashmir. Topic: the ethical philosophy of Sufis, a nourishment to the communal harmony in Kashmir. Please proceed, Dr. Nasim.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillahi wahda. Wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Honorable Muhammad Raslan Sahab, Revered Professor Hamidullah Marazi, respected Dr. Muhammad Habib, dear participants of this two-day national webinar, the paper which I have chosen for this two-day national webinar is entitled as Ethical Philosophy of Sufis, a Nourishment to the Communal Harmony in Kashmir. Tasawwuf, a spiritual realization and expansion of inner consciousness and purification of inner self to achieve eternal happiness, lays its much focus on ethics. The Sufis aim to ensure communal harmony and mutual coexistence of people coming from different backgrounds, caste, color, and different religions, which is achieved through the ethical philosophy explored by them. The history of Tasawwuf in Kashmir is spread over a long period of time. From centuries, people of Kashmir are living together peacefully and harmoniously despite having different religious identities. The aim of the present paper is to explore the nexus between Tasawwuf and communal harmony expressed and implemented in the ethical philosophy of Sufi saints. This paper is an endeavor to explore the ethical philosophy of Sufis and the role and contribution of Sufi philosophy in the formation of the unique culture of Kashmir known as Kashmiriyat worldwide. Ethics has remained part and parcel of philosophy since the inception of philosophy itself. Almost all of the great philosophers, whether they belong to Greek, India, Persia, or Western parts of this world, they have dealt with it. It has been touched by the philosophers of ancient times and has been also dealt by medieval philosophers, modern philosophers, and also the Western philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and other philosophers of Greek. Philosophers of medieval period, modern, and West like Kant, Hegel, etc., have given their due consideration towards the ethics. Religious philosophies could not remain aloof from the ethics. Therefore, we have almost all the religious philosophies discussing and elaborating on ethics. Nature has endowed Kashmir with implausible beauty and is rightly called as paradise on earth, not only for monarchs, but also for Sufis. Kashmir Valley has long had a fascination for them. A study of Kashmiri society, people, and economy, particularly the role of the Sufis and Walis, appears to be highly interesting. Sufis are an Islamic mystic sect. The advent of Islamic teachings by Sufi gurus in the 12th and 13th centuries altered the overall pattern of Kashmiri society. The message of love, compassion, fraternity, and tolerance was brought by Sufis. People in Kashmir began to convert to Islam under the influence of peaceful Sufis. The Sufis served to promote a common way of understanding the world, forming the cornerstone of the unique Kashmiri culture that transcends religious boundaries. Kashmiri Pandits and Kashmiri Muslims were acutely aware of their religious differences, while Sufis served to promote a common way of understanding the world, thereby forming the cornerstone of the unique Kashmiri culture that transcends religious boundaries. Tasawwuf in Kashmir has a long history dating back to Bulbul Shah and the Sufi poets and rishis who inspired people with their mystical vision. Sufis, Suharwardi and Kubrawi orders have played a significant part in Kashmir's Islamization process. Kashmiriyat concept can be traced back to Kashmir's ancient past. The valley's two religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, met Islam in 13th century. The new faith proved appealing to those who converted to Islam in the region. The new faith proved appealing to those who converted to Islam in the region by merging numerous ethno-religious traditions and beliefs that were shared throughout the many groups. Such religious and cultural encounters generated a new culture. The prosperity of Islam in Kashmir is inextricably related to Sufi saints' ability to cope with cultural differences and live together as a community. The Sufi culture and the ethical dimension of the Sufis and their nourishment to the communal harmony is the result that we see in the shape of the terminology which is famously known as Kashmiriyat. With this, I conclude my talk. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Walaikum salam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Nasim. Very sharp and very clear the points that you have shared with us. Which one of them that I probably can get from what you have said is that Sufis plays very much important role in Kashmir in terms of, from the early days of Islam in Kashmir. So this is something which has been shared by Dr. Nasim. Thank you very much for that. We will proceed to our next speaker, which is Dr. Nazir Ahmad. Dr. Nazir, are you there?
He had just joined. I hope that he's there.
I saw that he just joined. Can you
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Yes, Dr. Nazir, welcome to this session. Yes, you have about 10 minutes to present your topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Nazir is Assistant Professor, Nizami Center for Quranic Studies, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. The topic is human rights as a mediator of interreligious understanding. Please, Dr. Nazir.
Okay, thank you very much. My topic, as announced by the anchor, is human rights as a mediator of interreligious understanding. I leave the abstract which I have already submitted. It may be in the public domain, so I just start with the main paper. Post-secular world of nation states, remote religions have become next-door neighbors. Humanity is faced with the challenge of respecting and managing diversity, not only of religions but also of sectarian sub-traditions of the main religious traditions. Religion has always been in a need of mediation by philosophy and profundity. An unmediated religion tends to be invariably shamanistic, patriarchal, hierarchical, and antithetical to the very ideals of pluralism, toleration, and equality inherent in the idea of human rights. Mystical philosophy in its myriad forms, Islamic, Christian, Jewish, and Vedantic, for example, has a long tradition of mediating between religions. In modern times, religious pluralists, while speaking of common or shared values of humanity, often tend to employ mysticism as a mediator of interreligious understanding. The problem with this perennialist discourse is that it becomes elitist and defeats the very purpose of its formulation. Further, it often digresses into triumphalism while preaching respect, toleration, and universalism. Swami Vivekananda's Vedanta is a case in point. Another problem with such mediation is that it mediates between group identities but fails to protect vulnerable groups against the tyranny of the powerful groups. Ironically, critics of human rights often claim its patrimony in the name of their religions or ancient cultures and civilizations, failing invariably to account for the distance between ideas on the one hand and normative concepts and precepts and evolving instruments of modern human rights regime on the other. Human rights is often confronted by proponents of Asian values, ancient cultures, and religious traditions as a Western project. Even Western Marxists and postmodernists have collaborated with them in a critique of Western intellectual hegemony as expressed in the universalizing language of human rights and seeking to impose its narrow agenda on world cultures which do not actually share the West's conception of individuality, selfhood, agency, or freedom uh, of choice. The fact, however, is that human rights as a movement has gone global not because it serves the interests of the powerful, but primarily because it has advanced the interests of the powerless. There are religious theorists who accept the human rights individualism among Hindus by by the key concepts of dharma and achar and sadachar, different terms for doing the right thing, whose ultimate root and source is the satisfaction of the individual, atmanatushti, that she or he has done what is appropriate. However, given their tendency to glorify ancient roots, fails to recognize that Hindu tradition marked by intense plurality and dynamism has never been static. Much ancient evidence contradicts current Hindu thought and practices. A prominent flashpoint is the consumption of beef. Obviously, an ancient Indic practice, it is today mainly restricted to outcast or poor Hindus, for whom beef is an affordable delicacy, while normal Hindus react with horror. Christian and Muslim theorists, along with others, call for respecting human dignity. Chandra Muzaffar, for example, writes, we should dialogue with the people of all religions on the question of human dignity. Even those of secular persuasion should be invited to dialogue with people of faith. Indeed, great deal in the secular human rights tradition that we should absorb and imbibe in the process of developing our vision of human dignity. Chandra Muzaffar is a prominent Muslim theorist who, in this excerpt, as we have seen, uh, accepts the basic idea of human rights and wants to enrich the discourse from the perspective of Islamic civilization. Now, I would like to conclude human rights has gone global by going local, embedding itself in cultures and world views independent of the West. in order to sustain ordinary people's struggles against unjust states and oppressive social practices that tend to indulge in the process of othering of the powerless minorities. Another advantage of the human rights universalism is that it is a less prescriptive universalism than many world religions. It articulates standards of human decency without violating rights of cultural autonomy. It is relatively a thin theory of human growth. It defines and prescribes the negative, that is, those restraints and injustices that make any human life, however conceived, impossible. At the same time, it does not prescribe the positive range of good life that human beings can lead. Human rights is morally universal not because it defines what their freedom to should consist in, but only because it says that all human beings need certain specific freedoms from certain restrictions that are violative of their personhood. This, coupled with the growing consensus of activists across religions and geographies who nonetheless are keen to enrich the human rights discourse from their own cultural and civilizational perspective, qualifies it as a mediator of inter-religious understanding. As Mayer notes, even Muslims who do not use the terminology of modern human rights and prefer to be reminded of the Islamic ideals of human dignity and toleration, often maintain that justice, equality, and respect for human life and dignity are such central principles of Islam that their violation or failure by a system to honor them cannot be in conformity with Islamic requirements. Thus, as she argues, to generalize about a supposed Islamic hostility to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is unwarranted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nazir, for your presentation and for taking the time. Very much important. Alhamdulillah. um, the topic that you discussed about the human right as mediator of interreligious understanding. This is something which is needed at the modern time when we are talking about the interreligious relations. One of the aspects that we have to do is on the human rights of the interreligious relations. So thank you for that. May I call upon Dr. Bilal if you are here? If not, I would like to open the floor for the question and answer session. So probably we can first the question from the crowd. Please, anyone, if you would like to have, if you like to ask any question. Yeah, who would like to begin? You can raise your hand or you can just start, open your mic and give the comments or questions. Anyone who would like to ask anything? We have about just over 5 minutes left.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Yeah, please, Amita, eh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please introduce yourself and
Yeah,
with your question.
I'm Dr. Amita Valmiki from Jhunjhunwala College, affiliated to University of Mumbai. I just wanted to ask how much conscious were these mystic saints of the concept of deconstruction, because they deconstructed to restructure for a positive reform.
Yeah.
So how much contribution went into purposeful deconstruction? Was it purposeful?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
To whom that you want this
You
question
can-
to answer?
It can be to anyone. Anybody
Anyone.
can answer. Yeah.
All right. I will open for if there is any other questions from the floor.
Excuse me, I think Dr. Nassim Gul has talked about tasawwuf, and if he
Okay.
responds to the question, that will be better. Others may also respond.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, Habib, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So now I open to the panels. First, please, Dr. Nassim, if you would like to respond to the questions, and the rest may also respond after that. Dr. Nassim? Dr. Nassim is there or not? I think he's already
He has gone, perhaps.
gone, maybe, yeah? Okay. I invite Dr. Daljit if you would like to say anything.
Yeah, I'm here. Dr.
Yeah.
Amita, I would like to just, you can repeat your question once again.
Yes.
And probably I think we can join in if time allows.
Yes, yes. It's. I was just wanting to know, whenever the mystic saints all over the world, in all the faiths, purposefully intended to deconstruct the parampara or the tradition and bring about the positive change required in the society. Was it purposeful or it just
Oh, yeah.
happened by them?
Okay. So I would like just a very small, because first of all, I think in front of me, many scholars are there. So just excuse me for that if something is not in tune with you. But I would like to tell you the question, Amita, you have raised. It was intentional, it can be, but it was not basically. It was when we talk about the interfaith. So I don't think it's my opinion something is intentional. It is when we talk about interfaith, Sufism, their ideology, universal brotherhood, and they were basically moving ahead. If you see, they were moving towards each and every side where the possibility was there. When we talk about Umayyads and Abbasids and their, actually that started from Abbasids. So I don't think it was a kind of the deconstruction or their ideology was to spread peace and harmony and love. So I don't think it was kind of any. The only intention was peace and love,
Yes.
harmony. Sufism is always with a broader hand. They are not narrow. I don't
No,
think
no,
they are
no.
narrow
Yeah,
mindedness
absolutely.
is never
Absolutely.
there. Right? I hope
Yes,
I'm
yes,
able
yes,
to answer you
absolutely.
as
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Daljit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Pinda, would you like to say anything?
Yes, sir. As Madam has asked, that is came naturally or there was a purpose to it. Definitely, there was a purpose to it because whenever there is a need, if we look back into the history, whenever there was an environment or an ambience, it was addressed by somebody that time.
Mm.
So there was a need in the society, and that change was brought in. So the enlightened people came forward, or it can be said that it was a natural process that those people came in and they spread the message of peace and harmony to the world.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you.
like to, sir, if you allow me, I would like to add on one thing.
Yeah,
I'm always
30
into
seconds.
whenever I'm teaching my students, like, so I just put in front of my students. It was kind of the churning of the process, like
Mhm.
Bhupinder sir said. Ki yes, demand and supply. If we talk about the capitalists now, yes, demand was there. The society was like that. So in that, their ideology was that it was acceptable to the people, the marginal people at that time. So they started accepting and adopting that into them.
Yeah.
That is, I think, it's all about the acceptance and what they want, they were giving it. So in that churning of Islam and Hinduism and all, so I defined to my students, Sikhism was after that churning, Sikhism was there. जो हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, जो उसमें से जो चर्निंग के बाद में निकला, तो that was the churning. Thank you, sir.
Oh.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's very clear. Thank you so much for those who have given their feedbacks, and also for our speakers who have given their thoughts in this session. The theme of this session is interreligious understanding and religions, which I think one of the aspects that we need to put forward when we talk about interreligious understanding and religions is about justice and also the equality for the religious adherents. And also the second thing, we need to have respect among each other. And then the third thing is to avoid extremism among the religious adherents. We have at the international level what we call it the ISET. I don't know whether have you heard about this, but I do believe everyone probably aware on the ICERT, ICERT, International Convention on Eradicating Religious Discrimination, which is the document endorsed by the United Nations, which become an important document for the world in terms of the interreligious relations and understanding about the religion as well, which focusing on giving the rights to the religious adherents, which I think is something that we need to put forward, especially we need also not to we can discuss in the academic way, but at the same time we have to convince our government, we have to convince our authority so that we can take up these issues and we can have what we wanted to have, a world without conflict. So being a religious, meaning that we need to work hand in hand to make sure that the religious conflict should be eradicated and shouldn't be allowed in the public space. So by that, I would like to thank everyone again, and I would like to thank Malaysia for hopefully the oldest university in Malaysia and the university that has a very good reputation in the world university ranking. At the moment, we are at the rank of 65 in the world by QS World University Ranking. So thank you very much. I hand in over again to Professor Hamidullah Marazi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So it was really very
Thank you,
nice presentation, and we are very happy that you have conducted the whole session in such a nice way. And you being yourself a great scholar, I know that Malaya University is one of the best universities of the world. It is ranked among the 200 universities of the world. So that is the university which has made its mark. So we are very thankful for your time and for your concern to conduct the program in such a nice way, such a scholarly way. And you also allowed people to ask also questions. So we welcome you again, and inshallah other programs will be also there. So we also welcome Professor Ishrat Alam Sahab, who is the head department of history, Aligarh Muslim University. He will be chairing the next session, and I will just request last speaker in that will be included. That is Dr. Leila Chamankha. She could not make it in this session because of there was early time in the early morning in USA. Now she will be presenting her paper in the next session, your session, and that will be the last paper. Thank you very much all, and especially Ruslan and all the presenters, Daljit Kaurji.
Thank you,
and
sir.
Saab and all others. I am very thankful to Najir Saab and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Professor Ishrat Alam Saab and Jamaluddin Saab.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sir,
Hope we can see all
thank
of
you.
you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
See you again, sir. See you
Yeah,
again.
hope to see
If you
everyone.
also, if you stay, if you stay with us, that's better. If you can stay, if you have time, so that will be
Yeah.
better. If not, otherwise, we'll see you again, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
for your time.
yes. I've been to India 3 times, but because of the
Thank
COVID,
you.
I cannot go.
Yeah. But no, online we can do meeting. We
Hopefully,
can do meeting
hopefully,
online. Online will be meeting off and on.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So now I welcome Professor Ishrat.
Thank you so
Alam
much,
Sahab.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So I welcome Professor Ishrat Sahab, and he'll be now chairing the another session. And we have several papers in the session. First paper will be presented by Dr. Mohammed Abrarul Haq, and then second paper, Professor Paulo Ziju KF, and then we have Gulzar Ahmed and Wahid Ahmed Angar, then Amita Valmiki and Jay Peter and Nazir Ahmed Sheikh, and after that, Professor Leila Chaman Khan will be presenting her paper. So I request Professor Ishrat Sahab to chair the session. And if he allows me, then I can invite the speakers for presenting paper. And you may give us some suggestions and some directions how to conduct the session, sir. Professor Ishrat Alam Sahab. Over to you, sir.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Professor. First of all, I'm grateful to you and your organization for giving me this opportunity. And in this afternoon, I extend my welcome to all of you, the delegates, and the participants, especially of this session. I request Dr. Saab to, announce the names because I don't have all the names with me of the participants of this session. So once one paper is over, you will, please, you will call the name. Right. And then how much time do you think we should give to each candidate?
7 to 8 minutes, at the most 10 minutes. And we can just at the most 10 minutes.
Let us give 8 minutes for presentation and 2 minutes for question answer.
That's better. That's nice.
Hmm.
Should I just?
Yeah, please. So
Thank you.
Without wasting much time, let us proceed.
Thank you, sir. So I'm very thankful to Professor Ishrat Sahab. So he has allowed me to call the paper readers to present their papers. First of all, I call Dr. Mohammed Abrarul Haq, guest faculty, Islamic Studies, Manu, Lucknow campus. Topic is Father Thomas Mitchell's approach to Christian-Muslim dialogue. Dr. Mohammed Abrarul Haq, please. Abrarul Haq Sahab is there? Are you there? Perhaps.
Chairperson.
Abrar Sahab, just a minute. You are requested to please adhere to the time given by the organizers. It will be 7 to 8 minutes. If you want to invite more questions, then you can reduce your time. In total, we are expected to give 10 minutes. So 7 minutes for presentation and 3 minutes for question answer. Right?
Okay.
So we welcome Professor Dr. Manzoor Alam Sahab. He has also joined us, the chairman, IOS. So we welcome Dr. Manzoor Alam Sahab. Thank you.
Respected chairpersons, today my topic is Father Thomas Mitchell's approaches to Christian-Muslim dialogue. Father Thomas Mitchell belonged to USA, but he has lived in Indonesia, and living in Indonesia, he was influenced by Muslims in Islam. Then he studied Arabic and Islamic thought at the Middle East Center for Arabic Studies, Lebanon, and at the American University of Cairo. In 1978, he completed his PhD under the supervision of Professor Fazlur Rahman at the University of Chicago with the dissertation on the famous Muslim thinker Ibn Taymiyyah. His title was Muslim Theologians' Response to Christianity, Ibn Taymiyyah's Al-Jawab Sahih. Father Mitchell has been associated with interreligious dialogue all over his career. Being a Jesuit living in Muslim-dominant Indonesia and examining Islam encouraged him to work on Muslim-Christian relations, interreligious dialogue, understanding others from their perspective. Father Mitchell believes that interreligious dialogue means understanding each other, and it is much more a simple exchange of information. Interreligious dialogue creates an opportunity beyond worldly affairs to understand others, their concerns, their hopes, their beliefs, and their criticism from their perspective. This is an effort to express our common humanity and desire for peace and harmony on this globe. He wills the interfaith meeting
Abrar Saab, you are not audible.
instrument.
Hello, yes.
Yeah, please
Yes, sir.
carry on.
He wills that the interfaith meeting as a significant instrument to live according to God's will on this globe and to fulfill the suitable destiny as human beings. The, the present age has created great possibilities for humanity. The development of sciences and technology can eradicate poverty, hunger, and disease from the world. But everybody knows that technological advances are being used for destructive purposes. Advancements in science and technology has also the threat to the environment, the sea, the forest, and the atmosphere, all are in danger. Christian-Muslim dialogue. Christians and Muslims consist more than half of the world population. So if there is no dialogue and no good relations between both communities, there would be no peace on the planet. Father Michel described that when Muslims look around to find their natural partners in recognizing divine values in the modern world, believing Christian come to the front. The root of this natural similarity between Muslims and Christians goes back to 15th centuries when the Quran said the closest in affection to Muslims are those who say we are Christians. For among them are priests and monks, and they are not arrogant. The recognition of the friendship and cooperation between Muslims and Christians was declared on the Christian side when the Catholic Church in the Second Vatican Council Declaration Nostra Aetate appealed to Christians and Muslims to move beyond the doubts and conflicts of the past and work together to carry out common commands from the from from the one God whom both communities worship. For the benefit of all, that the declaration state, let them together preserve and promote peace, liberty, social justice, and moral values. In this perspective, Father Michel analyzed that the long history of subjugation, conflict, and warfare between Christians and Muslims must be understood as acts committed by Muslims and Christians. Muslims and Christians must accept acts committed by them and fail to live according to the real teachings of their respective faith. He urges the people of both communities to indulge in dialogue for justice, dialogue for equality, dialogue for human rights, and especially dialogue for uh, uh, poor people and marginalized people. Father Michel explores numerous Quranic verses that inspiring to recommend a liberating plan in the perspective of social realities in the modern era. He quotes, eat and drink, but not be wasteful. God does not love those who go excess. Wealth and property are considered blessing from God that must be used properly. Those who are possessed of seeking, multiplying, and displaying wealth are blaming for being in same family as the devil. He further described that the Quranic principle of a righteous life contrasts harshly with that of the modern marketing ideal of constantly pursuing the money, power, beauty, status, and restlessly searching for new pleasure. An important passage of the Quran tells us what Islamic life is about. It is about faith, kindness, and effective concern for the poor and deprived peoples of the society. As it says, virtue does not mean forgot to relatives, orphans, the needy, the migrant, and beggars, and towards freeing captives. Islam constantly teaches that those who have been blessed with sufficient wealth have a serious responsibility to those who are deprived of basic needs. The zakah, the fourth obligatory pillar of Islam, is aimed at helping the poor of the community. The message is clear that God is serious about the importance of feeding the poor and about the importance of encouraging others to do the same. And God will not treat well who, those who ignore this duty. Finally, Father Michel urges the people who believe in God to work for peace and reconciliation. He investigated that the Quran allows, as the Old Testament, of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, as a limit of strict justice. But at the same time, the Quran encourages believers to go beyond strict justice and behave on principle of mercy and forgiveness to promote peace and to promote mutual understanding for the benefits of society. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time. And Professor Ishtar Saab, you want to say something?
Yeah, he was. First of all, I would like to thank the speaker for being, sticking to the time frame. Now the presentation is open for discussion. So any questions? My only request to the people who are expected to ask questions is that please be brief and please don't speak or don't comment on that in great length, because the paper was very clear, very convincing. So I don't think there would be many questions, but still there should be some questions. So let us invite questions from the audience. So,
Sir,
in case-
it will be feasible that if the questions may be kept at the end of the paper survey?
No, you see, Dr. Saab, the problem
Yeah, yeah.
with such as a presentation, if you don't ask the questions immediately, then
Yeah, yeah.
people tend to forget.
That's true.
And there will be a hierarchy of preference. Which question should be asked to whom? Whether one should ask all questions to all people or not. So those kinds of limitations are there.
Okay.
Therefore, I'm requesting you to allow us to have the sessions at the same time. Question answer that should follow the lectures.
Okay. So there may be some questions. If there are some questions, please ask. If there is no question, then I will invite another speaker with the permission of the chair.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Dr. Pauloso Ju, KF. He's Associate Professor, Pontifical Institute of Theology and Philosophy, UC College, Ernakulam, Kerala. And his topic will be Dialogue to Enhance Humanity, the Vision of Pope Francis in Fratelli Tutti. Dr. Pauloso Ju, KF. Welcome,
Okay,
sir.
yeah. Thank you. Am I audible enough?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Respected Chair and all other erudite scholars, I would prefer to present my paper via a presentation. So give me a second so that I may start my presentation.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so it's clear. I hope all of you are able to see that. So, respected listener, Here, my title is To Dialogue to Enhance Humanity, the Vision of Pope Francis and Fratelli Tutti. As it is being introduced, I'm an associate professor of the Pontifical Institute of Theology and Philosophy, Albay. And my name is Paulo Siju Kef, and I'm also called Siju Kumbar. Whatever be the convenience, you can use it, no problem. The paper speaks about elaborate Pope Francis' vision on dialogue based on the encyclical letter which is published on 3rd of October 2020. This is the recent work of the Pope. So I would prefer to present this paper in two parts, presenting it in two parts. Number one, to use the word samvad. All of us know the word samvad that we use, a Sanskrit term that we use to indicate dialogue. And I would prefer to use that as a hermeneutical tool in order to explicate the real meaning of the document. And I'm very sure that you will be knowing that the word samvad is not used by the document, of course. But I would prefer to take that word from our tradition and to explore it. See, the word, the second part will be some questions related to the meaning of the word samvad and using as a tool. See, first of all, the word samvad. Samvad has two possible meanings. There are different meanings, different layers of meaning. Of course, it has two possible meanings. Number one, samvad means speaking together or conversation. Samvad has the meaning speaking together, samvadana. Therefore, it is speaking together or conversation. And the next one will be, it is also used to indicate debate with competitive spirit. So I would prefer to substantiate both these meanings. First of all, speaking together or conversation. While we look back to Prashnopanishad, which itself is a dialogue, there are 6 questions are being asked by 6 sages to the great scholar, sage Pippalada Muni, and the Muni answers. So it is a very respectful conversation. But in the Chandogya Upanishad and also in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the citations are given here. They are and in the history, we know the debate between Mandana Mishra and Shankaracharya, the debates of Vallabhacharya, and so on. There are many. Since to the time constraint, I'm not going to it. So the first part conclusion, it comes like this. See, the word samvada is possible to convey the meaning that it is a respectful conversation and it is a competitive debate. It can be both. It can be a respectful conversation, it can be a competitive debate. So it is the choice of the participant that makes something a respectful conversation or a competitive debate. So that is the main claim of my first session. That means it is the choice of the participant who makes whether to make it a competition or a respectful conversation. And here comes the 4 questions. In this context, what may be the meaning of dialogue in the encyclical of the Pope? And if at all, let it be dialogue or competition, if whatever be the choice, does it have any philosophical foundation? Or the next one is, if at all it is having a philosophical foundation, is it practical? If it is practical, will it be having some obstacles? So, like it goes. So let's first see what is the choice of the encyclical. Is it respectful conversation or a competitive debate? Article number, hereafter you see FT stands for Fratelli Tutti, the very document. What I am doing is a text study, typically a text analysis, no extra textual evidences. I'm just taking the text and analyzing the text. See, the 198 article says, approaching, speaking, listening, looking at, coming to know and understand one another and to find common ground. This is the meaning of dialogue. Article 271 says, goal of dialogue is to establish friendship, peace, and harmony. And regarding while remembering his encounter with the Grand Imam Ahmad al-Tayyab, the Pope remembers adoption of a culture of dialogue as the path, mutual cooperation as the code of conduct, reciprocal understanding as the method and standard. So it's very clear from the very very few citations, even though I have taken very few citations here, detailed citations are there in the full paper. So even though from these very few citations itself, it has become very, very clear that the intention of the encyclical is to engage in respectful conversation, never ever to get into a competitive debate. Instead, it's a respectful conversation. If it is a respectful conversation, does it have any philosophical foundation? I would prefer to point out two reasons. The first reason is the sacredness and inviolability of human being. The encyclical clearly says that every individual human being, without any adjective, without any sort of explanation, whether Muslim, Hindu, Christian, Sikh, whatever, every individual human being has natural, internal, and eternal dignity. So that is an intrinsic dignity. So that is the first reason that we should engage in dialogue. We should engage in respectful conversation, says the encyclical. Why? Because the basic sacredness and inviolability of human being. And second reason is the most effective means to know and realize truth is dialogue. The encyclical makes it very clear. Let me read that sentence. In this post-truth era, where many false ideas are presented as truths and facts under the label and sponsorship of governments, according to the interest of the majority, and with the assistance of media syndicate, dialogue is the one and only effective means to reach at the essence of real truth. So, in a pluralist, is to be affirmed and respected apart from the ephemeral consensus. Truth need not be some agreement, some adjustments. No, truth is more than that. How shall we reach at that truth? The one and only means is to engage in dialogue. So, is this idea simply to be kept in documents? No. For the Pope, it is something really practical. He wants it to be practical. So, what should we do to make dialogue practical? We have to make everyone convinced that nobody in this world is useless or expendable. First of all, we have to take that stand clearly, firmly, that nobody is useless in this world. Nobody is expendable in this world. What should we do for that? We should bring everyone into the mainstream of the society, especially those who are living in the peripheries. Especially those who are living in the peripheries are to be brought into the mainstream. And is it very easy? No, not at all. It's not easy. It needs the transformation of one's convictions. First of all, we should understand, as the Article 221 says, no one can possess the whole of truth. No one, no religion, no one can possess the wholeness of truth of the complexity of life. Nobody possesses the wholeness of truth. And how can we come to such a understanding? That demands kindness. Kindness. What is kindness? As 223, the article says, an attitude that is gentle, pleasant, and supportive, not rude or coarse. An attitude of being gentle and pleasant and supportive. Such a kindness is it a necessity, but that kindness never happen automatically. That kindness ought to be cultivated. So how does dialogue become practical? By being kindful, by being supportive, by being gentle, and by being pleasant. And now we have to tell truth. What is the nature of truth? See, here it is not an epistemic dimension of truth, but an ethical dimension of truth that Pope puts forward. Truth means telling families torn apart by pain what happened to their missing relatives. Truth means confessing what happened to the minors recruited by cruel and violent people. Truth means recognizing the pain of women who are victims of violence and abuse. So be truthful to the realities and complexities of life. And is it that easy? No, there are obstacles. There are obstacles. Two obstacles.
Professor Siju.
Yes, sure, sir.
Professor Siju, I'm afraid we are running short of time, so please confine your lecture to the prescribed time limit.
Oh, definitely, sir. Alienating ourselves into ourselves from all others, and also setting social media to spread rumors. Social media, it is not dialogue, but monologue happens. It may become viral, but it doesn't support that everyone agrees with that. So that another one is be sure about the political interventions behind all the problems. So this is my last slide as the conclusion. See, so friends, so in the paper, I have been trying to use the word samvad as a hermeneutical tool, which has two meaning, respectful conversation and competitive debate. You can choose. The encyclical chooses respectful conversation. It is based on the basic philosophy that human being is sacred and inviolable. And it is based on the attitude of kindness and reconciliation that we can make dialogue practical. And there are obstacles. What are the obstacles? One's ethical as well as religious convictions, and also political involvements with vested interest. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity for me to present my paper. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Saab, let us open the presentation for discussion. We have 1 or 2 minutes at the most. So very quick questions, if there is any.
Can I,
You
sir?
know that his emphasis was on a dialogue. So let us have a dialogue with him.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, please?
Yeah,
Yeah, my point was that.
please.
I wanted to ask.
Madam, first identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm
and
Dr.
then,
Amita
ask
Valmiki.
you.
Amita Valmiki. Yes.
Okay.
From Mumbai. I wanted to ask
Right.
Father Suju that do you believe that in Indian philosophy you really have a dialogue, a genuine dialogue?
Amidaji, thank you. It's a very wonderful question. I do believe. While we look into the Prashna Upanishad and many others also, most of the Upanishads are in the dialogical format. Please.
So I would request all, please mute your mic once you have spoken because it creates a lot of problem. When you have spoken,
Yeah.
mute your mics because otherwise it
Okay.
creates a lot of fuss.
Thank you. Back to Amidaji. So while we look into the Upanishads and so on, there are very good dialogues, a very serious dialogue to enhance wisdom, and that also surely happens, and that has happened. But at the same time, it of course has instances, occurrences where dialogue has samvad has appeared as competitive debate. What are there, ma'am?
Thank you so much.
Dr. Saab, should I ask another speaker to present his paper?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this chance.
Thank you, Dr. Siju.
Most welcome. Now I request Gulzar Ahmed Bhatt, doctoral candidate, Department of Islamic Studies, Islamic University of Science and Technology, Auntypora, Kashmir. His topic is Social Justice, a Key to Communal Harmony. Mr. Gulzar Ahmed Bhatt. Is Gulzar Ahmed Bhatt Saab present there? Yes, he is there. Okay, please present your paper if you are there.
Dr. Saab, tell him about his time allotted to him.
So it will be how much time is allotted to him, sir?
7 minutes.
7 minutes, yeah, and 2 minutes for discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Gulzar, please unmute your mic. Mr. Gulzar, please unmute your mic.
Honorable Chairperson, esteemed moderator.
Put your video on. Yeah.
Honorable Chairperson, esteemed moderator, and my dear sir, Professor Hamid Nasim Rafi Abadi Sahab, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am presenting my paper under the title Social Justice, a Key to Communal Harmony. Justice is one of the most important constitutional principles which have been confirmed both in the Quran and Sunnah. Islamic society constitutes that each individual must feel that he forms with the others a compact and solid unity and an equal chance to all. The main purpose of the Islam is to establish a just society based on ethics and also survival on earth. The discourse of social justice becomes a daydream to any people or society which does not earn their rights. The goal can be achieved through the efforts of religious leaders, Muslim scholars, intellectuals, and activists working together to spread this discourse. Concept of justice. The concept of justice as formulated in Islam is comprehensive and encompasses all aspects of human life. It governs all kinds of relations in life between the ruler and the ruler, between the husband and wife, between the parents and children, and between the individuals in their private relationships. It signifies a process of settlement of dispute or its elimination through an explanation of the rights of the genuine claimant by exposing falsehood through arbitration. Justice plays an important role in man's life and also in the society as a whole. Justice can be defined as fairness in the treatment to all people, assigning rights and duties, honor and opportunities. The concept of justice is fundamental to any ethical system. The Quran aims at building a better social order, and being so, it lays great emphasis on justice. There are several words like adl, qist, mizan, etc. used in the Quran, but adl is mostly used. The meaning of adl is equality may be expressed either in qualitative or quantitative terms. In qualitative sense, other refers to the principle of equality, assigning equal rights to all. On the other hand, in the quantitative sense, it refers to the principle of distributive justice. Concept of social justice in Islam. Social justice is very foundation of the true Muslim society. Justice in Islam is the foundation upon which dogma, Aqidah is built, and it is directly bound to the sphere of faith, that is Iman itself. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has also said, "No, he does not believe in Allah nor in last judgment. He who eats his full at night while his neighbor is racked with hunger." Islamic society constitutes a balanced human community where each individual must feel that he forms with the others a compact and solid unity based on fraternity, social solidarity, and equality of rights and duties. The society must work towards a common objective. Justice has several dimensions: social, economic, political, and legal. In the context of human to human interaction, we look at social justice, which simply and briefly is concerned with granting all individuals equal rights and opportunities. Social system in Islam and its principles. An Islamic society is the society whose members has faith in Islam, apply its laws in their lives, abide by its moral standard of love, brotherhood, equality, mercy, and trust, performing religious duties and abstaining from doing what is unlawful. In the true Islamic society, drinking alcohol, practicing dressing immodestly, deceiving each other, giving or taking bribes, injustice, violating others' rights are all avoided and prohibited. Even when the society is so-called Muslim, but in it people discard Islam as commit unlawful acts publicly without the slightest feeling of shame, and no power or authority exists to deter them. The society can't be considered an Islamic one. With what matters is the lifestyle and system they adopt, not the name they call it. The principles of social system. The social system in Islam is ties which draws Muslims close together and organize their lives. They include love and loyalty among the faithful. Second, respecting the
हेलो
respecting
हाँ
the
खान साहब
rights
प्लीज सेमिनार शेयर कर रहा हूँ
respecting the rights of the individual and the group, both having
नहीं
mutual
मैंने कहा
rights
था
and
कि
duties
गेस्ट
to
पे आ
each
जाओ
other.
मैं ले लूंगा लेकिन वहाँ पे मिले ना तो मैं सीधे
Islamic
टीम बेस्ड
society is built on
जरूर
right, justice, and mutual kindness. Good people and cooperation.
कल
And
कल
also the fifth point, that is maintaining good morals. It is another significant principle of the
कल
social
कर
system in
लेते हैं
Islam. Honesty, sacrifice, mercy,
हाँ
sympathy, love, faithfulness, keeping ties with near
क्या
kin,
होगा
respecting
दोहर्रम मेरा
neighbors,
घर दे
being
पाए
kind and gentle to others are factors which consolidate a
कल
society and
हाँ
gladden
कल
its
मैं ले
members.
लूंगा
They become serene and free from worries and pressures. There is no sadness. It is our responsibility to form an Islamic society and keep it safe from subversive and corrupt elements by means of enjoining good and forbidding evil. Social justice to non-Muslims. Islam clearly mandates non-Muslims should enjoy fair rights as well. Prophet Muhammad SAW stated, "Be aware, whoever is cruel and hard on a non-Muslim minority curtails their rights, burdens them with more than they can bear, or takes anything from them against their free will. I, Prophet Muhammad SAW, will complain against the person of the day of judgment." It is encouraged to be kind, compassionate, and helpful to all people, not just those with similar beliefs, race, social status, or wealth. Just as like God created you, He also created your neighbors, your co-workers, and everyone you encounter in your daily life. Fundamental elements of sustaining communal harmony. Communal harmony is the feeling of amity and love for people of all communities. Islam is a religion of peace and harmony. As Islam aims at peace of society and strengthening communal harmony, it has fostered their relationship and has declared that all human beings are from single male and female. There are some elements sustaining communal harmony. The first one, that's acceptance. A multi-religious society is a community with diverse religions such as Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, and others, in order to live in a peaceful and harmonious society. Acceptance of other religious adherents in a particular community is very important. The second point, that is the understanding. Every individual who lives in a multi-religious society should understand and accept the religious diversity. Understanding of the faith and teachings of other religious groups could encourage an individual to accept and respect the beliefs of other religions. The concept of mutual understanding seems vital, as people should not interrupt the practice of other religious adherents. Every individual or religious adherent should respect the doctrine of other religions. The third one, that is coexistence. The element of cooperation is also important to build good relationship among multi-religious adherents. With the existence of this element in their life, they will respect and tolerate other religious adherents. Cooperation can be seen through their action by respecting the celebrations, rituals, as well as beliefs of other religious adherents in their community. Hence, every individual living in a multi-faith society should tolerate and cooperate with each other. So the conclusion, Islam is not only a ritualistic religion, but composed of well-knit social system based on justice, individual and social. The goal is to create harmony, order, and cohesion in a given society, inspired by faith and submission to the one and only God. We are required to strive to be just and ensure that each person is receiving his her right as God intends. Islam promotes religious harmony and peaceful coexistence, not only among the Muslims, but also among the people of other faiths. Religious harmony and peaceful coexistence are some of the essential elements for the full realization of the creative potential of individual sustainable development.
Gulzar sir, please conclude.
I will conclude these lines in the context of India. Islamic system of justice that sets no discrimination against men of other faiths becomes more relevant than ever. The greatest job of Muslim scholarship of India would be to educate non-Muslims about the concept of social justice in Islam. Thank you, the Institute of Objective Studies, for organizing such a wonderful conference. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hamid Saab, should we invite questions?
If there are some questions, let me ask. I think there is no question, sir. If you allow me, then I will invite another speaker.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir. So I request all the participants to mute their mics, because it creates a lot of noise otherwise. And when you have spoken, then please mute your mic.
Gulzar, please unmute yourself. Mute yourself.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Wahid Ahmed Angar. There are some mics which are not muted still. Please.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. Just Mr. Wahid Ahmed Angar and Dr. Firdaus Ahmed Safal.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Firdaus Ahmed Safal is a senior assistant professor in the Central West of Kashmir. So he will be presenting paper on behalf of Wahid Ahmed Angar as well. The topic is
Shall I start?
religion and social justice role of major religious schools in fostering social justice in India. Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Safar, please.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Audible.
please.
At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizing committee of this very valid debate or a two-day national conference which is being conducted on the title Interreligious Understanding Its Implications for Human Rights. My hats off to the team, particularly to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Arvind, Professor Dr. Muhammad Habib, my Dean of the Social Sciences, Professor Hamidullah Marazi, Muhammad Afzalwani, and other team members for being so responsive to the issue that there is a need to have a debate on interreligious understanding, because we see day in and day out there is lynching, there is the issues on when we see casteism and other things. So there is a need to have such type of understanding or dialogue so that we shall be in a position to aware the people so that these issues cannot raise up in the society. My gratitude is also to the chairperson of this session, Professor Ishrat Alam, for being available, or he is so kind enough that he is chairing the session. And I am also expressing my gratitude to the moderator of this session, that is Professor Sayyid Jamaluddin. So far my paper is concerned, basically it was my research scholar who has made an effort to have a paper on this theme, and I am supporting his argument. And so far our paper is concerned, we believe that we are trying to ascertain what is the role of major major religious institutions in fostering the spirit of social justice among the members of the society. When we see there are good number of religious institutions, and among the prominent religious institutions, we have Hinduism, we have Christianity, we have Jainism, we have Buddhism, and we have Islam as well. And in all these schools, we believe there is scope, there is emphasis on ensuring social justice between and among the members of the society. But despite the fact that there are emphasis, despite the fact that there is a thrust that we should maintain social peace, social order in the society, but still we see violence, we see conflict, we see lynching and other social issues in the society. Then who is responsible? And religious, we all believe, has a role in giving direction, in guiding the people at all times. Without taking much of time of the audience, I will start from the Hinduism. When we talk about Hinduism, we see that so far their education is concerned, good emphasis. They have 4 Vedas there, and in Atharva Veda, section 3, verse number 24, chapter 5, it is written that earn with 100 hand and distribute with 1,000. This is the spirit of social cohesion, social service reflected in Hindu scriptures. Similarly, in Rig Veda at section 6, verse number 18 and chapter 4, it is written that, quote, blessed are the hands that support the destitute. It is written there that those which when we talk about poor people, orphans, widows, destitutes, those who are from downtrodden sections of the society. But so far the Hindu scriptures are concerned, it is written that those people, those minds, those individuals who serve, who can take care of the needs of these people, those are not ordinary people, those are blessed, and they must be kept in high esteem. Similarly, at section 10, verse number 191, together.
You are not audible, Dr. Safar.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, now you're audible. Please. Go ahead, go ahead.
There's some problem with connectivity.
There's a problem with this one.
Yeah.
Should we invite another speaker till he gets connectivity back?
Yeah.
I think so. Till Dr. Sufal Saab is able to get his connectivity back, I request Dr. Amita Valmiki, Associate Professor and Head Department of Philosophy, Ranjan Jojonwala
Jhunjhunwala
College,
College.
Jojonwala College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai. Her topic will be dialogical communication between the religious traditions of Asia and Africa. Dr. Amita Valmiki, please.
Respected chair, respected moderator, respected institute, in fact, for holding such a wonderful seminar. And thanks for inviting me for presenting my views on the topic. I would like to share my PowerPoint, and wherever Alam Saab, if you feel that I must stop, just inform me. Okay, thank you so much. I'll share my PowerPoint. Siju, is it all right?
Yeah, I'm not able to
Please,
see.
please, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, fine. Can you see my PowerPoint?
No.
No.
It's coming, man. It has come. It's very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. Can you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah, we are
Fine,
seeing.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, fine. Tell me if it is moving, okay? Just a second. I'll go back again. I think I can't see this now. Sorry. I'll do it again. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. Oh,
It is not appearing, madam.
yeah. Just a minute. Now it is appearing. Is it appearing now?
Yeah, it has.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. But whenever I'm making it slideshow, it doesn't appear. So I stop sharing and once again I do, and without making for real people with a passion for something, who hope like mad in something, who love something with a love that surpasses understanding, faith, hope, and love. And of these three, the best is love, according to a famous apostle. The opposite of a religious person is a loveless person. Asia and Africa, both the continents' religious traditions are considered by scholars as primal religions. Primal religions mean that they are native ethnic religions dependent on each other of the same land. And these faiths are completely contingent on nature. Elements of nature like wind, fire, water, etc., are worshipped and considered as local deities. Those which are revered, religious traditions are highly culture specific, therefore. For instance, Oshun River goddess, that is, of the Yoruba people of Nigeria, Shango, deified ancestors and a natural force of Ido people of Nigeria, Amadioha, god of thunder and lightning in Igbo tradition of Eastern Africa, Ra or Horus radiated fire imagery of people of Egypt, etc. The parallel can be drawn likewise in Asian countries as well. For instance, Agni and Zorung, fire god in Hinduism and Chinese folk religion, respectively. Vayu, ancient Iranian wind god, is similar to Vayu it is, and Vayu in Hinduism. Vayu is also found in Zoroastrianism. Suijin, water god in Shintoism of Japan, Raijin or Indra, god of lightning, thunder, and storm in Japanese Shintoism and Hinduism, respectively, etc. The primal religions do not have a written documentation, but flourished orally from generation to generation. Coming to next slide, the minority religions of Africa comprise the indigenous ethnic religion. Those are external to Christianity and Islam. For example, the Zulu, the Ido, the Akan, the Xhosa, and many more. Since the diversity is vast, a singular titular term is used in this paper for ethnic diverse African religions or mystical traditions as African religions. They share the same sort of values as put forward in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, or those of Abrahamic religions. So the ontology of existence of God is not in segregation with the community living, but integral part of everyday life. That is not just theoretical spiritual practice, but praxis-wise, it is religio-spiritual. Same goes with Asian religions. India and Indian subcontinent has a blanket term Hinduism, but within Hinduism lies variegated sects. And Asian countries also have been the birthplace of great religions like Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, Taoism, Shinto, Confucianism, or under the tutelage of powerful religions adapted and absorbed were Christianity and Islam with their variegated sects. Here it is needed to mention the Sufi tradition, not withholding the primitive, tribal, or pagan religious traditions. Both the continents of Asia and Africa have their own indigenous religious practices. And both these continents have also been influenced by Semitic religions like Christianity and Islam. Coming to African religions, like Asian religions, quite pantheistic. The well known phrase applies in both the continents, mystical movements. I am because you are. That is what Ubuntu philosophy says, of which Asia version or Asian version, though not absolutely same, would be Tattvamasi, that thou art, the Vedantic injunction. Ultimate teleos remains the same. All is one is all. The one can be the self, soul, I, or the absolute. If that is the truth, non-violence becomes a prerequisite condition, and that can have pragmatic value not only in love, not only if love becomes a convention. So we find here the syncretic religion in China, and these again it resembles, like Confucius resembled very much organic. He spoke about organic holism, and this you find in the Sankhya tradition of India. The Prakriti and Purusha goes in simultaneity. Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, an Iranian Turkish mystic, my most favorite and adorable, asks us to welcome whosoever the person is in the journey in search of meaningful life. In Rumi's words, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, idolater, worshipper of four, come even though you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Like Asian African religions, traditions include the great Sufi movement. The rise of Sufism is rooted in the concept of asceticism. Sufi movement, though completely rooted in Quran, upholds asceticism. Two things are of great value for the Sufis, the Bhakti, like the Bhakti Margins, or the followers of the path of devotion, and that is divine love and wisdom. This automatically leads to non-violence towards everything that surrounds them. In Africa and Asia, Sufism has helped in creating a unique Islamic culture. In North Africa, the Sufi mystical order, Tariqas or Maghrib, Muslim West, was established in Middle Ages and then spread to West Africa, Europe, Asia, and in the United States too. Coming to Sufi saints in Kashmir are often, as we had heard prior to these papers on Kashmiri Sufism, are often called as Muslim rishis, meaning thereby Muslim sages. And we have Sufi Sheikh Nuruddin Nurani, also called Nanda Rishi, saying that should you not shun inner anger, how can you, your external wrath, unless you cleanse your inner mind, you will lead an ostrich life. So there need a drastic paradigm shift came in India with introduction of Sufism in synthesis with Indian mystical religious movements, which tried to uphold the values of love, compassion, harmony, and humanity. So here we have the quotes of Nelson Mandela and Gandhi reiterated again. One can say there are many religions, but religion is one. And as Professor Wadia notes, I quote him, they, that is religions, have brought us to the height from which we can truthfully say, he who finds truth only in his own religion and has no eye for truth in any other religion is still groping in the dark. He alone has found truth of God, who has learned to appreciate the efforts of all religions in getting at God. And I think in diversity and communal harmony and communal harmony. These are the references. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Mohammed Habib Saab, do we have some time for her for discussion?
Yeah,
A
please,
question,
please.
a
Yeah.
question or two?
There may be some questions, no problem. If there
Yeah.
are some questions, please ask.
Please.
There may be some questions. The audience is requested to present their questions if they have any for Madam Valmiki.
Thank you.
Yeah. And she is a Valmiki is a great name.
Yeah. As all say.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't lead to that level.
That's indicative of your scholarly personality. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's
Maybe there are some questions. If there are no questions, then we can move ahead. Professor Saab, Ishrat Saab, am I allowed to ask another person to present his views?
Thank you, sir, very much for the
Okay.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Ishrat Saab, should I ask another presenter? Professor Ishrat Saab. So oh, yeah, he's there. I request Mr. J. Petter, research scholar, Christian Tamil Studies, Madurai, Kamraj University, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. And his topic is Social Justice in Christian Perspective. Mr. J. Petter, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity that you have given to me. I would like to present a paper on social justice in Christian perspective. Social justice is to maintain equality and fairness to individual and society. Social justice also includes equal access to health, well-being, wealth, privileges, and justice to all individuals. The Christian perspective of social justice is treating others as we treat ourselves and seeing people in God's view. Although your religion speaks about social justice, Christianity and uniqueness, Christianity has a uniqueness in it. In Christianity, justice is a mandated one as like love, faith, belief, and holiness. The Holy Bible dealt with many social justice and commanded justice to them. In the Old Testament of the Bible, we can see many social issues and it was dealt inside and between a group of people. So it teaches them how they should conduct themselves, how they should live with other people. This leads to many rules and regulations, commandments, and this article is going to deal with it. Social justice. The word justice occurs 143 times in Bible. Bible has a strong hold of justice. Bible says, there is neither Jew nor Gentile, neither slaves nor free, nor is there male or female, for all are one in Christ. So everyone is equal in the sight of the Lord. God sees and treats them equally. In Christian perspective, social justice is that seeing the people in such a way that God would see them. Christian social justice is looking at God's standard, which is right and which is wrong. As God is just, we have to do just and love others. The Bible teaches the Christian followers to do the justice in everything, like living in discipline and truthful life. Biblical teaching of social justice. The major commandment in the scripture is love your neighbors as you love yourself. Because the Bible teaches to care for people less fortunate, widows, and fatherless. Doing justice to them is a command from the God. Christian Erickson from Grace Church says there's a difference between social justice and biblical justice. Social justice has a temporary view of others' injustice to society, but the biblical justice has eternity in mind and starts with seeing people as God sees them. She writes, on doing the justice to them may not give a reward in this world, but the reward will be rewarded in heaven. The Christian social justice has 10 points that emphasize about the social justice. The first point is love your neighbors as yourself. As we love our neighbors, we will be respecting them and they will be giving them justice. The Bible passages tells the Israelites not to gather the harvest clean. They have to leave some of the some for the people who can come to take them. Israelites are commanded by the Lord to put some or leave some of the grains that they show. So they have to love their neighbors. They have to leave the grains for the people who are living with them. They have to do the justice to them so that they can eat for their living. Loving our neighbors or brother is necessary thing. If one loves their neighbor, we will never do injustice to the other one. The one who loves himself will never hurt him. Likewise, one who loves others will also never hurt others. They will respect others and they will not condemn and they will not judge them. The next point is the year of Jubilee. The next part, the Bible chapters gives justice to the land. Even the land has also needs justice. The land is respected as a human because it gives food to the man. As every seventh year, the slaves are said to be free, and the lands are also said to be free. So on the seventh year, the land should be left free for their natural regain and natural rest for it, so it can yield uh, 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 another part and can regain its power more for before. God was just in his creatures also. He has an comforting concern for the land as he has one on a man. Confronting the sin of God's people, Judah. God has concern over his people who are now violating his laws and not serving the Lord, as he is comforting his people to come back to him and get blessing. As they have left God, they have God, they left God, they are not going into a curse full life. So the Lord calls them come back to him, although they have God promised redemption for them. They have to go through the justice that they have has to come upon them. The second, the fourth thing is God calls his people to be righteous and more than righteous rituals, religious rituals. God calls people not to
Dr.
be.
Peter, Dr. Peter, please
Yes.
conclude.
Thank you, sir. And the last part is to do justice and righteous, and let the justice do justice, love kindness, and walk humble with God. Actually, to conclude, I am saying Christian social justice motivates the Christian follower to do the justice and help the poor. Christian social justice is apart from the religious rituals. Christianity does not emphasize the rituals, but to love and kindness to the people. Bible teaches the Christian followers to help the poor and needy, care for the homeless, fatherless, and the widow, and be just in all the activities. Christian social justice has the promise from the Lord that the Lord will surely give a reward for it. Jesus said, "Whatever we did, anything for one of that least brother and sister, you are doing to me." When we help or we do any justice to the downtrodden, we are doing to the Lord. We are doing the justice to the Lord. Lord says that what he was done to the people is done to him. So he is the one who will be rewarded. Whosoever pursues justice and righteous, they will be find life and righteous and honor. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Professor Mohammed Habib, should we ask him?
Yeah.
Should we ask the audience to
Why not?
put some
Please.
questions if there is any? I request all the members in the audience to please let there be a dialogue between the paper presenter and the listeners and the audience. Okay, if there is no question, then let us switch over to another candidate.
We have one paper which has been not completed by Dr. Firdaus Sufal Saab. If he is present here and he can present his half of the paper, he may present in nutshell. Dr. Firdaus Sufal Saab. Are you there, Dr. Sufal?
Sir, he's on meeting.
Okay, you are in a meeting. Okay, let us see then later on. Now I
We'll see
request.
later on, sir.
Okay, okay. Now I request Nazir Ahmad Sheikh, research scholar, philosophy, Barkatullah University, Bhopal, and his topic is Ghazali's view of human dignity. Mr. Nazir Ahmad Sheikh. He is present. Mr. Nazir, are you present? Okay. Now you present your paper, Mr. Nazir. And first unmute yourself. Mr. Nazir, you unmute yourself and present your paper. Do you listen me, Mr. Nazir? Am I audible to you, Mr. Nazir? Please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. Hello. Am I
Yes,
audible,
please.
sir? Am I audible,
you
sir?
are. Please. You are
Thank you,
audible.
sir.
You are
Thank you.
audible. Please.
Thank you
go
very
ahead.
much, sir. Esteemed chairperson, Professor Ishrat Alam, sir, respected moderator, Professor Saeed Jabaluddin, and Professor Hamid Nasim Rafi Abadi, sir. Myself, Nazir Ahmad Sheikh, and my topic is Ghazali's view of human dignity. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are gifted with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. The human rights decreed by the divine law aim at conferring dignity and honor on mankind and are designed to eliminate oppression and justice. All human beings are one family whose members are united by their subordination to Allah and descent from Adam. All men are equal in terms of basic human dignity and basic obligations and responsibilities without any discrimination on the basis of race, color, language, sex, political affiliation, social status, or other considerations. The true religion is the guarantee for enhancing such dignity along the path to human dignity, integrity. Ghazali, as a Muslim philosopher, theologian, jurisprudent, mystic, endeavored to convey the message to mankind that the noblest creation of God on the earth is man, whose noblest occupation is the pursuit of religious sciences, and these are acquired by the exercise of his noblest faculty, reason. For Ghazali, man has two qualities which arise him above the animals: is knowledge and will. In Islam, man is seen as superior to all other species in the world, in contrast to Darwin's origin of species thesis, which views man to be comparable to apes. But Islam liberates man from animalistic notions and accords him proper dignity as a human being. As the vicegerent of God, he has been sent into this planet. One of Islam's most outstanding qualities is its universality and man's position as the center of the universe. Ghazali discussed his views on social philosophy in the light of Quran and Sunnah, that is, traditions of Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him. According to him, that the friendship is outcome of good behavior and good conduct, and enmity is the result of misbehavior and bad conduct. He quoted the Quranic verses in order to emphasize his statement, quote, "You are certainly upon a sublime character," unquote. Further, he mentioned in the hadith, that is a prophetic saying, that, unquote, "O Abu Huraira, you should take to good conduct." He asked, "What is good conduct, O Messenger of God, peace be upon him?" He said, "Keep tie of relationship with one who cuts it off. Forgive one who oppresses you. Give charity to one who deprives you, unquote. For Ghazali, if we practice such type of doctrines of Islam, there will be absolute love and no hatred among people, and it will lead world to the absolute peace and prosperity. The conflict is the root cause of hatred, while as peace is the root cause of love and brotherhood. God says, after showing kindness over the entire creation, quote, if you spend everything that is in the earth, you cannot create love in their minds, but God has placed love in their hearts, unquote. Ghazali maintained the view that friendship and brotherhood is similar to that of husband and wife, as immediately after marrying a boy with a girl, there arises some rights, responsibilities, and duties. Similarly, there arise some rights, obligations, and duties after binding in friendship and brotherhood. For example, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, two friends are like two hands, one of which washes the other. Similarly, friendship is completed when one of them keeps the other, as if they are one and the same and they share the enjoyments of each other. He attempted to convey the message that to give honor and dignity to one friend is that there should be self-sacrifice and you should keep in mind the needs of your friend. To help a friend before asking in times of need, try to remove his difficulties and danger. One have to participate both at the time of joy and sorrow. This type of conduct and behavior is the real image of true friendship. Secondly, it is also admitted that a true friend always keep the secrets and do not disclose them to anyone, even though if there is separation from him, as it will be his moral duty. Ghazali mentioned duties to relatives, neighbors, and slaves. He formulated a social structure in such a way where there is no one's rights are ignored. He said man is a social being. If he lives in a society, he has to follow the rules and regulations. Man lives in a society and in his surroundings, there are neighbors, relatives, and others. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said that, quote, Jibril was insisting always to pay the rights of the neighbor, so much that I thought that he would give him the right of inheritance, unquote. And it is said, if you believe in God and the hereafter, honor your neighbor. It is also said, if your neighbor is not safe by your homes, then you are not a true believer. There is a much emphasis given on the rights of neighbors, whether he is a Muslim or non-Muslim. If a certain man commits good deeds and remains fasts all day and prays whole night, he, however, troubles his neighbor, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, he will be punished by hellfire. Similarly, there are rights of relatives as well. There must be always good connections with the relatives. Don't remain cut off from the relatives. The Messenger of Allah Almighty was once asked, who is the best person? He said, one who fears God most, keeps best connection with his relatives, gives much advice for good deeds and prohibits misdeeds. Ghazali added the rights of parents and children too. For him, parents are very close relations and nearest and dearest ones. Therefore, the duty towards them is obligatory and essentially significant one. To obey the parents is the commandment of God, especially if they reach it at the old age. Children are gifts of the God. They are innocent and their minds are just like blank paper or empty cabinet. Whatever we will inscribe in their minds, it will remain always there. It is indispensable to every parent to guide them and educate them in all affairs of life so that they would be uplifted socially, mentally, physically, psychologically, and spiritually. Besides it, he gives us in Ihya what are the duties towards servants and slaves. First of all, every master should consider the basic necessities of his servants and slaves. For instance, food, clothes, and other necessary things. Furthermore, don't ask them about that work which is beyond their capability and capacity. Don't look at them with an eye of hate and condescension. If they commit any mistake, forgive them. Now I will conclude. Man's position in Islam as the vicegerent of Allah on earth. Further, all human beings are Allah's subjects, and the most loved by Him are those who are most helpful to His subjects. And no one has superiority over another except on the basis of piety and good deeds. Ghazali finds out Islam has given high status and dignity to human being, irrespective of caste, color, and creed. There is no superiority of white-skinned person or the black one. Similarly, no superiority of Arab or the non-Arab, except only one who is and good God-fearing. It is admitted above the slaves have basic human rights in Islam. One cannot treat them animals. As a human being, you have to give honor and dignity to every other human being. You cannot forget your relatives, friends, parents, children, neighbors, and others in the society. It is important to take care of them properly, otherwise, it is very hard after, even though how much a man is pious and a worshipper. Ghazali was God conscious religious philosopher. Therefore, he always endeavored to seek pleasure of God, which is the summum bonum of a believer's life. Therefore, he attempted to say in his works, if you practice all those commandments of God mentioned above, you will ultimately blessed with paradisal bliss, and you will attain divine pleasure, which is the highest truth or highest aim of the life. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So, Mohammed, have you right some question? If there is any, I don't asking question.
And this is the last paper because Dr. presents the paper.
Okay. So we are on time, in fact. You're supposed to finish at 5. So I have the advantage of, I have the privilege of chairing, so I have some time to speak something, some points of my, against which I thought I should discuss with you.
Yeah.
This theme is quite interesting, interreligious understanding. Since I am a student of history, it reminds me of, it takes me back to so many years, when Ashoka was there to be followed by Akbar in the medieval period, where you find there were rulers who were interested in these kind of enterprises, social enterprises, religious understanding. The basic question arises why, and all the speakers, we had around 7 speakers, they were all emphasizing, and before them, I am sure that other scholars would have also delved in this in detail on this point of the topic assigned to them. 2-3 things which occurred to me is, first of all, when we are dealing with religions at a global level, especially forget about the new world, we are basically dealing with old world, which comprises Europe and Asia. So especially in Asia, you find there are many religions which occurred. Toynbee has calculated more than 1,800 religions which had occurred, civilizations based on religions. Some survived, some fructified, and some were aborted. So if you look into the religion from that point of view, so what we find is that for the today's discussion, especially for my session, I would say that it could be divided into 3 sections. One, originating in Arab world, the Semitic religions. The other set of religion occurring in Iran, India, and southern part of Russia, say where Andronov culture was there. These were they had their roots in Indo-European speakers. So they, like Kavita, madam referred to Vayu, the term Vayu in various religions. It is, madam, because of their linguistic affinity. There are many such words which are very common in all these places. In terms of space, I'm saying that there are terms which are in Rigved which you will find coincide occurring again in Zendavesta. So so these and then China. China has a different religion where Confucius is very strong. His ideas are very strong. And if you extend it further to Japan, then again you will find that Japan, Toynbee says it was a satellite civilization. It was a satellite civilization of China, city civilization, because it had great impact on.
इससे सब आपका म्यूट हो गया आप जरा अनम्यूट कर लीजिए अपने
Yeah. So this is something automatic, auto mode something, but I don't.
No problem.
Mute.
Happens.
So Ibadat Khana experiment, Akbar found that there is more acrimonious debates. One religion trying to establish that this is superior to the other one. So no meaningful result was coming, and there was a lot of pandemonium. So he said that okay, I will close this. He ultimately closed it and opted for assuming the title of the interpreter of Islam, Mujtahid, by declaring Mahzar, of which he was very shy. We don't issue of Mahzar, in which which entitles him to interpret Islamic jurisprudence or Islamic, ticklish point. He gave he found that it was not accepted by the theologians of those times. He was criticized for that. So you don't find any mention of this important document in his own, Akbarnama, written by Abul Fazl, which was monitored by the emperor. Doesn't find, because that was very uncomfortable thing for the kind of personality Abul Fazl was trying to make Akbar of, Insan Kamil. It is only in Badayuni, who was a great critic of both Abul Fazl and Akbar. He mentions that Mahzar and he reproduces that Mahzar. So through that we find. My point is that, take any religion for that matter, originating in any part of the old world, you will find that there are certain common points, as appeared from all the presentations here, Abdul Rahman, then Professor Siju, and then Gulzar Ahmad Bhatt, and Wahid Ahmad Sahab, and others. They were all emphasizing this point. So they were quoting from the texts. And there was one interesting paper by Gulzar who was talking about, who was quoting from our ancient texts, Rig Ved, Atharvaved, and others. You don't find any religion having any book prescribing, disharmony, prescribing, any kind of strife. They are all prescribing, and in the Semitic religions, I find this very common in Judaism, and very common in Christianity, very common again in Islam. They are all emphasizing the role, your role towards your neighbor. Similar, similar quotations can be cited from other religions. They are all basically trying to make peace in the society. Peace is the objective. I don't know what happens to the practitioners of these religions. They, they forget the main lesson, get involved in other in fact, not actually being prescribed by any religion for that matter. So there are so many, so many contradictory things which is appearing in the religious dialogues. All religions, they are saying that all religions are prescribing the same thing, but there is something wrong with the practitioners of these religions, these pious religions. I respect all. So I don't know why they forget the main teachings of their religions. And in today's seminar, we found that they have been highlighted by all these speakers. One more thing I was trying to find in one of the presentations was, and maybe I didn't listen to all the lectures because of my own engagements. Someone might have spoken about it. By after Renaissance, Renaissance is a contribution of Arab world. Whether you consider this Islamic contribution, that will be another extension. But certainly, it is the credit goes to the Arabs for translating those texts, into Arabic, and then later on these were again translated back into Latin by the Europeans. So, which produced Renaissance according to the common. Now it has been commonly accepted. So after Renaissance, what we find is that there is a kind of a curiosity or anxiety in the West to understand the understand the Orient, how the Orientalist societies are developing. So there is, I always say that there was some kind of inter-civilizational dialogue between Christian world, Islamic world, our Indian world, which has all the religions, luckily. So they wanted, and in that continuity, we find that Pere de Laval, Francois Bernier, when these people came, similarly the Dutch people, Rogers and others, when they came, they were trying to understand these societies. For example, when Percy Sykes goes to Persia, he is looking into those Persian traits, how they are, what kind of religious life they have, what kind of society they have, what kind of economy they have. So, in other words, there was a post-Renaissance curiosity in the Western world to visit these Oriental countries and try to understand their religion. So that religion and society all. So there was some kind of an effort which was underpinning the realization that all these major religions or the practitioners of those major religions should try to understand each other. Because this is the time, by 17th century, we find people like Carlyle and the great philosopher Carlyle and others who are, who have so many bad words about other prophets, including our own prophet Muhammad. So, my suggestion is that when, for example, when Pere de Laval came, he was always trying to find fault with Indian systems, Indian religion, Indian people, Indian customs, and other things, Indians, economy, society, and other things. Whereas at the same time, in the same century, when Bernier is coming, he is a literate person and he is in contact with the great philosopher Gassendi in France. He is writing to him. All those letters are published. So if you read his letters to Gassendi, you will find that he is not only concerned with religion, he is also concerned with statecraft. His concerns are different from others, meaning thereby, suggesting thereby, that it is not only religion they were trying to understand, the political structures prevailing in Iran, prevailing in India, prevailing in China, beginning with Marco Polo. He gives a detailed description of that. So, and since they were believers, they had their unity predominantly, and which was earlier Catholic, later, they were the Catholics, then Protestant, and then other branches of that religion. All the practitioners of these, Jesuits for that matter, they write about Mughal Empire. So they were trying to understand, um, first of all, the religion, the religious practices, superstitions which were prevailing at that time, which had their roots in various religions of these places. So they were trying to make an understanding of, these things. And ultimately, what we find is that by the 19th, 20th century mainly, there is a realization that, essentially all religions are same. There could be some difference of point of view here and there, but essentially they are speaking about peace, harmony, coexistence, co-evolution for that matter. And I will congratulate the organizers, especially the people of funders, I would say, Institute of Objective Studies, Professor Hamid Nasim Rafi Abadi, to give me this opportunity to share some of my very scattered thoughts, and Dr. Muhammad Habib for providing, very crucial logistical assistance to me in conducting this program. I express my gratitude to all of you, the participants first, and then the organizers for giving me this opportunity. And I wish you all a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are very thankful to you to have spared your precious time for this conference. I know how much busy you are, and your time means a lot for us, and your patronage also. And we hope that in future you will be also assisting us in such programs and patronizing as well. So I also thank all the speakers who have read their papers today. We were expecting Leila Chaman Kha, but she could not present it. Then Dr. Abrar Haq and Paolo Soji KF and Valmiki ji and Wahidur Rahman and Firdaus Pal, Gulzar Ahmad Bhatt and Jay Petter, Nazir Ahmad Sheikh and others. So mashallah, all of them have presented very good papers, and we hope that when we publish those papers with the suggestions which you have received or you may receive, and then we are hopeful to publish all those papers in form of a volume. We thank you again, and we thank all the chairpersons and all others who have participated in this conference and presented their paper. Thank you very much. Thank you all. See you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tomorrow morning we'll be starting our program at 10 a.m. and you are requested to also participate in all these sessions. We have 2 sessions tomorrow, and then we have a valedictory.